Hello, this is Edna White. I am so glad you're with me. Today I'm going to answer a question that so many of my followers and so many of my clients ask me. So we're going to get right to it. Today I'm going to give you 4 exercises for cultivating the mind of forgiveness. So before forgiveness even happens, you have to have a mind, to forgive, and have to have a mind of knowing what forgiveness is. So one aspect, key point that you're going to learn today is forgiving involves thinking carefully about who the offending person actually is. The second point is this is rethinking of who the other person is. It takes time and detailed thinking about that person. 3, as you examine the offending person's life history, you might be surprised at how wounded this person is. And 4, as you carefully examine that person's life, you may begin to see the inherent worth and value in that person. So when you forgive those who have hurt you, part of the process is to engage a thinking exercise in which you slowly begin to see the inherent worth of the other person who hurt you. Now, perfect example for me, I experienced a hurt from someone that I knew for a very long time and that I felt was one of the club of my friendship, right? I have to acknowledge that seeing this and acknowledging this is my responsibility to create the boundaries that upset me or kind of allowed that this was process or this part of the process happened in our friendship. So I had to take responsibility for allowing this person to hurt me because I opened the door to it, not realizing where they come from or not acknowledging where they come from and how far they can help me. So once you do that, you're building in your worth. You're building in their worth. And so that forgiveness is not an unfair shake, but actually seeing the person's worth because, yeah, we may have had friendship, but there are some good things that are in there with that person that really look good and could be salvaged. Should I create boundaries and should we have a conversation, communicate, not yell and scream or not, avoid? Because that's what really happens in relationships, in friendships. We avoid. So if I say something to you that offends me and I am communicating it effectively, right? And you then have to accept it and say, I'll do better because sorry doesn't get it anymore. I'll do better. Then you're successful. You're successful in rebuilding that portion of the relationship and start moving towards forgiveness, okay? Just in spite of what just happened, or make it successful in your search. So these exercises that we're going to go through really help you get your mindset ready to evolve into forgiveness, because forgiveness is a hard state and no one really talks about what forgiveness is. So the exercises that we're going to take on today is going to help you with knowing the other person and taking you through to the end of suggesting, the cognitive approach to forgiving so that you do not, offend yourself or offend the other person, but you are able to forgive. Now, I know prior to these exercises, not many of us understood what forgiveness is and what it is not. So including that, we're going to talk about the criticisms against forgiveness, but we make sure that we move forward in forgiveness and we move forward in a healthy way. Now, I'm saying forgiveness takes knowing what the person did. If a person comes to you, I really apologize for what I did. What did you do? And if they can't pinpoint what they've done, that's really not an apology. Because let me just say, when you ask for forgiveness, you know exactly what you've done. Now, if you're like me, You say or do something with me, or I say or do something with you. I apologize for doing this, right? And you take that responsibility, then you get rid of all of those criticisms against forgiveness. Or if the person's not here any longer and these offenses still apply to your life right now, they still have happened and they're still relevant in your life right now, and they hurt you, the best way you can move forward with forgiveness is not blanket it, oh, it happened, and cover it up. Because I'm telling you, I live that way. And guess what? That blanket always piles up, and whatever's under there usually rots from the inside out, and it comes out in you. So, acting like it doesn't exist, deflecting away from it does not work. True forgiveness is acknowledging, accepting it happened, and then being able to get yourself in the mind frame to cultivate forgiveness. Knowing where the person comes from, number one, right? And knowing that there might be something good in what was the relationship, what was in the relationship. Now, if there was nothing good, you don't have to do that part of the exercise. There was nothing good. There's nothing good. If the good outweighed the bad and the bad outweighed the good, you're going to have to make that assessment. It wasn't good. And you have to meet, either if the person's alive, you meet them where they are. If they're not, meet them where they were and move on. Okay? Move on strong with a cultivated mind of forgiveness, and move forward. Now, cognitive exercise one. I'm only going to give you one, but I know that you want all the rest. All you have to do is hit the button down below. Maybe not hit the button, but leave a message down below, and I will definitely leave you the other exercises. I will send them to you, okay? So, let's think about this. Number one, viewing the person as an infant, child, and adolescent, okay? So, a lot of times, because I've become my journey in evolving personal development, evolving in myself, I've come to a place where I can see from your responses, your reactions, what age level you are at, right? So when you can see that, when those things happen, right, because first of all, you're clear with yourself. This is not something that you can use to find out where they are. First, in order to be very good and very intuitive and very discerning, you have to be taking care of yourself first. All the work has to happen in here first. So you can't be critical until you criticize or be critical with you, and make sure that you're in alignment with what you are portraying, what you are saying, what you are doing with other people. Okay? So now that we got that out of the way, when the person offends you, right? You often look at their responses as, now, why would a person say that? An adult say that? Oh, that sounds like a 12-year-old. Oh, that sounds like a small child. Or that looks like they're having a tantrum, like a toddler. Those are where the challenges lie for most people who have done things that hurt you. Now, I'm not talking about perpetration of any type. That's not what I'm talking about. They have a mental condition, and yes, they do. They have some hurts that they need to heal, but that is a different type. So that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about friendships, romantic relationships. Should someone say something very rude to you or treat you in a way that you thought they should be treating you better because you are friends, that you are in a relationship, that you are family members. And it's not every family is healthy, but just at where the family is, you thought that would be better, a better response. So you really look at the person from their response or their reaction or their behavior, and you roll it back to what age it was. Then you say, oh, that's where they were hurt. But because this person shares a common humanity with all people in the world, you have to believe they have some worth, right? And sometimes inherent worth does not need to be earned. It just needs to be redirected or set boundaries or explained, right? Those three things, that's all it needs. So consider what you know about that person's childhood. You might also ask, yourself, because if you're long-term friends with them, you should also be able to receive, oh, this would happen. So imagine that child or that adolescent or that toddler was wounded and didn't deserve to be wounded. So how do you move from that situation with that person? How do you grasp on that? How do you get to that, right? Well, what you do is like anyone else that hurts you, you have to speak and address where they are, but realizing that they're adults. Yeah, very hard task. So learn to identify what hurts them and why they hurt you. And that way it doesn't lead to confusion and conflict. Now, when you make your assessment, and when you state your position and why you were hurt, you can then say, hey, okay, I know this happened. In your head, you don't say that to them, in your head. But this is what we're going to do to clear up, no more that this happens again. And once you make that communication effective, and then there's a yes from that person, now, usually what happens with most people, if they're not used to this type of effective communication, they will either freeze, fight, flight, or they will dawn up, like not expecting it, okay? So you have to allow that and allow a space for that. It's not immediate that you're going to get back on the same page. It's not immediate. Maybe that person needs solitude. Maybe you need solitude to kind of heal. Because, hey, listen, what happens to an animal when it gets wounded? It goes somewhere, hides itself, and licks its wounds. Make sure that it takes care of itself. So that's the same way that you have to be, So that is cognitive exercise number 1. So I know that I told you I have 4. The other 3 are: number 2 is viewing the person in adulthood. Number 3 is seeing this person as influenced now by power. And 4, putting the pieces together. Now, I hope that what I said today will help you. And I hope that you contact me to get the other information on these exercises, because I would like to continue to help you. And this is why I do the videos that I do. Now look, you can go deeper into a greater depth with these exercises, right? If you enjoy journaling, journal on forgiving. If you need help with forgiving and transcending what you're really feeling and you need to talk it over with someone, a coach can do that. A therapist can do that. Either one can help you see what you really represent and what you really need to get out of your life, because you are in a stage of always wanting to grow. So give yourself the gift of forgiveness and accept the benefits. This is Edna White, and I'll see you the next time around. Remember, if you want to leave questions, please leave them at the bottom of this video. Or if you want to just ask me a question, email me anytime. Thanks so much, and you have a great one.